Most gym bros will tell you that if you're nice and strong, you've been lifting weights for a little while now and you want to start getting into a bit of cardio, is that cardio is going to kill gains, when in actual fact it doesn't. Cardio can kill gains if the training isn't structured correctly. So in this video, if you're someone that is lifting right now, you're enjoying the gym, you've been hitting the gym for a little while, and you want to start getting into a bit of cardio, maybe a bit of running, a bit of cycling, whatever floats your boat, in this video, I'm going to show you guys how to properly structure hybrid training to incorporate cardio and make sure you don't lose any muscle mass or strength in the process. So firstly, one of the most common things you'll hear from people, especially guys that hit the gym a lot, is that cardio kills gains. When in actual fact, it doesn't. The most important thing you guys need to know about is something called the interference effect. So a guy called Ross Edgley speaks a lot about this online, who is a PhD sports scientist. And the interference effect, basically in layman's terms, is when you go to sleep at night, your body only has a certain amount of adaptation energy. And these cardio signals can interfere with the muscle building signals. However, when done correctly, unless you want to go to the extremes of both, you want to run a 2-hour marathon and bench 150 kilo, then unless you want to do like the elites at both, you can do both done right. So the interference effect and how to not let it affect your training. Basically, you want to try and split the sessions up as best you can. So if you're doing cardio and weights, split the sessions. Ideally do like cardio in the morning and then say strength at lunchtime or in the evening. This is just so that the body can have a bit of time to rest, recuperate, have a bit of food in between, refuel, and then hit the next session. Because if your body is running, let's say you do a 5K run and then straight into a push session, when you go to sleep at night, the body doesn't know what to recover from and what to improve from. This is the interference effect, and that's why you want to split the sessions up as best you can. Again, not everyone can do this. Some people have full-time jobs and families and other responsibilities, and that sometimes the sessions do just have to be done back to back, in which case, that's fine. It is what it is. We're not training for the Olympics. We're training to look good, feel good, and as well, if you enjoy it, then just crack on with it. It's also not that deep. So now you know about the interference effect, and now we're going to talk about the big driver in how to be able to run and strength train and not lose weight. And that is something that I messed up on years ago and what cost me years of progress. Genuinely, like looking back at my training personally, this was a big flaw in my training. And when I fixed this, it's almost like cheating, because when it's done right, you feel so good because you can combine both without losing progress, and you progress more in both the running and the lifting. And that is nutrition. Nutrition is so important when it comes to running and lifting at the same time, because if we're under fueling, we're not going to progress, and secondly, we're going to lose weight. The goal here is to maintain and build strength and size whilst running. So making sure that we're getting sufficient calories throughout the day as a total is massive. Secondly, making sure that we are fueling in between sessions. We want to make sure we've got enough fuel to recover and then go into the next session fueled and ready to go. So the big thing that I didn't do all those years ago was making sure that I was getting enough calories in total. I didn't really track what I ate. I thought I was eating enough, when in reality I was just shoveling, loads of food that wasn't really that nutrient dense or calorific. That's why I lost loads of size when I started running. And what I do now is I track my food using an app called MyFitnessPal, and that is one that I get clients to use as well. I recommend it to a lot of in-person and online clients. And MyFitnessPal just allows me to make sure that I'm getting sufficient carbs in between sessions so that I'm going into sessions fueled, especially because if you've run, let's say in the morning, and you're now going to then train legs in the evening, if you've not had enough fuel throughout the day, you're going to be so tired going into that session. You're not going to be able to train as hard, and you're not going to be able to progress. So getting food in is so important. If you don't know how much you need to eat, drop me a message on Instagram at coachbyhbn, and I'll work out what calories you need for hybrid training to make sure that you're not losing weight. And then that way you'll know what you need to eat. You can eat that and you won't lose any size when you start running or doing cardio. Second thing is making sure that we are fueling around sessions. So we need to be having carbohydrates pre and post session. Pre-session, so that we've got fuel going into it. So we've got a fuel source to tap into, essentially, making sure that we're giving it our best effort on the sessions. And then we need carbs and protein after the session to, one, recover and replenish glycogen stores and start the repair process in the body. Now, if you're someone who's already come from a gym background, who's already lifting, things like that, you're going to know the importance of getting sufficient protein intake in your diet daily. Even more so now, that protein target needs to be hit 7 days a week, 365 days a year, to ensure that we maintain muscle mass whilst running and lifting, because when we are doing cardiovascular exercise, it can be catabolic. Okay, we want to make sure we're staying in an anabolic state so that we're maintaining and building muscle mass as best as possible. So what is the best way to structure your strength training alongside cardiovascular training? So as I mentioned a little bit earlier in the video, you want to make sure that you're splitting the sessions up as best you can. Now, we live in the real world. If this isn't a possibility, then fine, it is what it is. We're not going to lose anything. We're not going to progress as much or as good as we could, but we live in the real world, so it is what it is. Ideally, you want to split the sessions up, making sure we're getting one done in one period and one done in another. So one in the morning, one in the evening, or at least having a couple hours in between sessions so that we can give max effort on the sessions and have fuel and recover in between sessions. Now, if you want a more in-depth analysis on how to program hybrid training, I've actually got a video that I've done a few weeks ago on that topic. So you can click the link in the description and it will take you to that video. Just to give you guys a little bit of insight on my personal training, on how I'm currently bulking at the minute, I'm doing a lean bulk. I'm aiming to gain around 0.5 kilo a week alongside running and lifting, which I love and it's working well. So to give you guys some insight on my personal training and how I structure it, on a Monday, it's a double training day. I'll do a 5K easy run in the morning, and then I will do legs in the afternoon / late evening. On a Tuesday, I will do a push session. On a Wednesday, I will do a 5-mile run first thing in the morning, nice easy zone 2. And then in the evening, I'll do a pull session. Thursday, I'll take as a full rest day to allow my body to recover, especially after 2 double training days. And I don't like to train any more than 3 days in a row. I will then do, on a Friday, I will do a upper body training session, full sort of every muscle group upper. Saturday, I will do a lower body training session, so legs and a little bit of core as well. And then I'll take Sunday as a full rest day. So right now, my runs are just 2 easy runs. Reason being is lifting is my priority now. So again, going back to how to structure hybrid training and not losing weight, is that it wants to always be a priority, but I go more in depth in this on my how to structure hybrid training in 2026 video, linked in the description below. Right then, so lastly, what are some do's and don'ts when it comes to combining running and lifting and not losing weight? The number one most important thing is the mistake that I made is do not underfuel yourself. Work out what fuel you need and making sure that you are eating like an athlete, okay? If you want to do both and not lose weight, it's great, it's awesome. It's arguably, in my opinion, one of the best ways to be. You're physically strong, you're cardiovascularly fit, you look and feel great, okay? But make sure if you want to do hybrid training and not lose weight or size and strength, making sure that we are fueling properly, eating pre and post meals, eating what we require for each and every single day, tracking your scale weight and making sure that that weight isn't coming down and that numbers in the gym aren't coming down either. Second thing is having proper structure in your hybrid training. So a lot of guys will just wake up on the day and decide what they want to do. Now this can work for a little while, but after a while, fatigue can set in, especially if we start doing, really long runs and really hard training sessions. There needs to be a base sort of priority in terms of what you want to do with your training, essentially, because if we're just doing random sessions each week with no real structure, things can start to slip, and we don't want to let the standard slip, because this is where if we're doing too much, for example, and not eating enough, then again, we're just going to lose. And the whole goal here is to not lose body weight, is to be able to combine the two and enjoy them both without sacrificing any progress. So another very common mistake I see is people not taking enough rest days. I've seen this with clients before, they come to me and they say, I'm losing strength and size in the gym and I'm running as well. My running is not really improving and I'm losing size in the gym. Can you help? One thing that is quite common is just not taking enough rest days. So people think with hybrid training that you need to do something every single day. You need to run one day, lift the next, run one day, lift, etc. Now, you can get away with this for a little while, but as we all know, with any style of training, whatever sport, not taking sufficient rest is the number one way to burn yourself out and stop making progress, essentially. So making sure that we know our body and we're listening to our body and the training volume that we can handle, and making sure that we're getting enough rest days in. I always say this to my clients, and that years ago, when I was less experienced, before I was a full-time, fully booked PT and qualified online coach, is that When I used to do hybrid training back in the day, I would train 7 days a week because I wanted to hit something every single day. And when I started working for a coach for 3 or 4 years, one of the first things he done to me was drop my training down to 5 days a week, which initially annoyed me because I thought I'd be making less progress. But because of the additional rest, I made more progress in 1 year than I had in the last 3 or 4 years. So take that bit of advice for you. Don't make the same mistake I made. And you know, that really taught me that it is stress plus rest that equals growth, not just constantly battering yourself on the field, running, on the roads, in the gym. If we're just battering ourselves 24/7, we're not gonna make progress. If we are working hard, recovering from said hard work, and then getting back to it, you're gonna fly. So last thing is hydration. So not necessarily one you need to focus on too hard if you're living in the UK. It's not that hot here often. However, if you're living in another country in a hotter climate, or maybe it's a hot summer in the UK, one thing that is super important is hydration, okay? Making sure that we're having enough water and enough electrolytes, because if we're training twice a day, if we're doing strength training and cardiovascular training, that's gonna deplete us a lot of hydration. So we need to make sure that we're smashing back the water, smashing back the electrolytes, putting lots of salt on our food, making sure that we're fully hydrated to, one, allow us to perform better, and two, allow us to recover better as well in between sessions. So there you go. Now you know how to combine strength training alongside cardiovascular training without losing weight. This is one thing that I'm massive on, because this is a mistake that I made so many years ago, and I don't regret it, but I could have done so much better with my training. So action the advice that I've given you guys in this video for free, and make sure that you are strength training and lifting, enjoying them both without losing any strength and size. Now, I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. If you have, please drop it a like. If you guys are looking for some one-to-one online coaching with someone experienced in this sort of area, that you want someone to just take over your training, take over your programming, and make sure that you are making progress, click the first link linked in the description. That's going to take you to my one-to-one online coaching application process. In there, we can hop on a call, discuss your goals, and we can get you a plan action from there. Thanks for watching, guys. Drop me a subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.